Hey Rye, come on over, bud. I got your soccer shoes. Mom packed me some stuff in here for you, and here they are. Is that them?
No, they're basketball shoes.
They're basketball shoes. Okay, so you know what? I didn't even know what your soccer shoes look like because it's been a long time since I've played. So I'm sorry, I'm a little rusty. All right, well, Mom did pack some other stuff in here. Oh, I think I got them here, Rye. Come on over, come on over. I think that's, is that, this doesn't look like.
What?
Is this not them?
No!
I don't think these look like soccer shoes either, to be honest. You know what though? I do have some other stuff. Hey gang, thanks for joining me for this episode of Sport Consumer TV. No, it's not really that. It's just one of my latest videos. My name is Pete. I am the owner and I would say head researcher for our team here at sportconsumer.com, where we review products from 300 or so different sports for a total of about 3,000 products. So we know a little bit about a lot of things, hopefully enough to give you some usable, useful information for when you are looking to buy some sports equipment. So you'll notice that in these videos, if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that we don't recommend a specific product on the video. And the reason is that the products change every year. So you can find the latest products on our website at sportconsumer.com, but don't take off there just yet, all right? Please, because YouTube hates it when good folks like you take off from YouTube and go to a website. They don't like that. And when that happens, they put my video way down on the list of whatever topic I'm talking about because they don't want people to leave. And they say that video is making people leave. So if you want to be really nice to me, you can do what YouTube actually wants, which is you guys to like binge on my content. So you can check out any of the other videos that we have on our channel, and we would be most grateful. Please do also leave your comments anytime. We like to read your comments. Some of them are nasty, saying, you don't know what you're talking about. I kind of do, because even if I haven't played the sport for many years, which I have for many of these sports, including soccer, I do a lot of research and I have people that help me, and we spend dozens of hours. And so we sometimes don't get all the information we should, but you know, in those cases, please, in a nice way, tell us what we've missed and we will include it with our apologies. All right? Okay, so onward we go. What we're talking about today is soccer cleats, or as some people say, boots, soccer boots. All right, whatever you call them, soccer shoes, it's fine with me. All right, so the very first thing you need to consider before you go out and buy a pair is, what are you using them for? Is it predominantly turf? Is the turf often wet and damp, or are you just playing on asphalt? Obviously, they're gonna be different shoes. We're gonna talk about what those different shoes are and what are the qualities to look for when you're looking for a soccer cleat. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna talk about before we get into other details is the position on the field and what types of shoes you'll need for that. Now, this is open to a little bit of opinion, which is really all that reviews are anyway. It's somebody's opinion based on the facts that they've gathered. So in my opinion, I think that a goalie and a forward, because of the positions you're playing and because of the hard kicking you're doing, like kicking on net or kicking it half the length of the field or more to get it out of your zone, you would need a clean strike zone. Now, this is not a shoe that has a clean strike zone, but what I'm talking about is this area here where you're kicking, fewer laces. All right, there are shoes, soccer shoes that don't have that, and that's probably what you're looking for in that position. Next, we're talking about defense. Defense, you just need a lot of protection. Again, my opinion. You're taking a beating, and that's why in some of my other videos I talk about shin guards for defense, where again you kind of take a bit of a beating. Everybody does. I'm not trying to single out one position too much more over another, but maybe just a little bit. Defense takes a real beating, so I would say a fairly substantial shoe that still gives you mobility and speed. Then you've got positions like midfielder, and I would say focus more on comfort for that. I would worry less about what is along the top here. Do you see laces? Is it covered more? Comfort is what it's all about. You're doing a lot of running, And that goes in part for every position, obviously. If it's not comfortable, you're not going to want it for any position. But I would say focus on that rather than the design of the exterior and the top of it, or even the material that it's made of. All right, so the next thing is the type of field that you're playing on. If it's a regular field, great, but if it's a muddy field, right? Sometimes you're playing, your season is happening in a part of the world and during a time of the year where fields are kind of soft. You can have shoes with, or boots with removable studs and longer ones, like aluminum ones that you can kind of screw in. Again, very specific to their time and place of use, but very helpful if you can get them when you need them. If you're playing in a field like I'm standing in front of, which is kind of an average, not too wet, not too dry, but kind of leaning on the dry, you've probably the biggest assortment of shoes or boots available. I've got one here. This is my son's. It's got conical as well as bladed studs and sort of an average length. You can find these just about anywhere. They're probably the most common and the most useful in more situations than any other boot. The other scenario that we don't get into too much is indoor court type of, or indoor field shoes. Lower profile, in fact, they kind of look like basketball shoes. They've got like a gum rubber sole. They don't even have studs. All right, it's a very different scenario, and if you haven't figured it out by the time you play in a league like that, you will. As soon as you see some of the other players, you'll figure it out. Very different than this kind of shoe, if you don't already know that. Another consideration is material. What material is your shoe made out of? Leather is kind of not as common as it was because we've got all kinds of synthetics, but leather is still considered a really luxurious thing or material for shoes. Kangaroo leather is sort of the cat's meow. It's not nearly as durable as the other kinds, which would be calf skin or full grain leather, but it just gives you more of a feel on the ball. Full grain leather, tougher, lasts longer, but it's just a different feel. Players' feedback is that they say it doesn't give me as good a feel on the ball. So it's just all about ball control. So kangaroo, not that common to come across, but wow, it is sought after by a lot of players, and it's kind of sort of the top of the rung when it comes to leather boots. There is synthetic leather, which is obviously meant to simulate leather. The problem is that for every advantage you gain, there's a disadvantage as well. So the advantage is that they're waterproof, and they're pretty light, and they're even more durable than some of the less durable leathers, believe it or not. However, the disadvantage is that you really do lose some feel of the ball. It feels like your foot is more separated from the external environment, so you're not going to feel the ball as well in terms of control, ball handling, and such. Then we move on to synthetic. That's what this is. Synthetic tends to, because there's no variable in the material itself, which leather there is, you will get a true fit in most cases, which is the good news. The bad news is that, again, a lot of players will, when pressed to critique a synthetic boot, they will say that there is just a very different feel to them. So some people don't mind it. Other people don't like the feel to it, and I guess to define the feel is sort of a personal thing. It has to do with ball control. When your foot is under the ball, do you actually kind of feel that the ball is there, or is the material sturdy enough that you don't really even feel the ball there? You have to actually look down and see that your foot is sitting under the ball. So I just use the word feel in a generic way. A lot of players say it just has a very different feel to the ball that is synthetic. One of the latest offerings in terms of material, and I'm not sure how I feel about this, is knit. Just about every sports shoe, from basketball to cross-country running, has a knit version. Now, when I first heard of knit, I thought it was a joke. I actually did. People were talking about it like, oh yeah, it looks like your grandma made that. You know, it's a bit of an exaggeration. They do work. I've worn a few pairs. I'm not a huge fan of them myself because they do get dirty if you're not really careful, unless you're playing like in an indoor court. But there are players who really do like them. And so I would just say, I'm going to tell you what a lot of the feedback that I've researched says about knit shoes, and that is that they have their own unique feel to them. So that was neither a positive or negative statement. It's just a very different feel, and you really have to feel and experience it for yourself. So you can order any shoe from Amazon. They have an excellent return policy, and if you don't like the feel, then feel free to return it. But I would say if you're curious and you're serious about the sport, it might be worth considering getting familiar with the feel of a knit soccer boot. Okay, so there is one other thing I want to tell you about soccer boots, and that is that price, and this is kind of unusual because it's not true, the statement is not true with every shoe in every sport, and certainly not every piece of sports equipment. In this case it is. The higher price that you pay probably means, listen to this carefully, probably means the shoe will not last as long. Does that make sense? The higher the price, the less durable the shoe is. And the reason is that most high-end soccer shoe manufacturers will take into account the fact that professionals who have the money to spend on shoes will value higher performance rather than longevity or durability. It's only people like you and me who don't get paid millions of dollars a year to play sports that care more about price. So we'll actually spend less money on a pair of shoes and hope that it lasts longer. All right. So anyway, you get where I'm going with that. The more money you spend, you're probably going to get well, you will definitely get a high performance shoe with lightness and a good feel to the ball, excellent grip. Actually, every factor that you can consider in a pair of soccer boots will be the highest. The quality will be the highest, but the longevity, the stitching, maybe even the actual exterior of the boot will wear out if it's like a kangaroo leather. So do you want to spend more? I don't know. If you're really into it, then you can have your game shoes and your practice shoes. That's what I did for years and years when I played both soccer and basketball at the collegiate level in the US. I did that. Of course, I had 3 or 4 pairs that I used exclusively for my season, for different functions. All right, so that's not unusual, and it might be a good way to go. If you're just looking, if you're a casual weekend player and you're looking for one pair, I would stick with a synthetic, maybe a higher end synthetic, but I certainly wouldn't spend more than $100. I'd probably spend less than 50, to be honest. But hey, you can afford it if you really want it, so do what you want to do, but hey, that's my opinion. Okay, so if you guys have been even remotely helped by this video, or even minusculely entertained, maybe, I don't know if I'm that entertaining, but he is. You should hear the noises he's making. Anyway, please do like and subscribe to us. We'd love to see the pop-ups that say, new subscriber. You know what, that would be so appreciated that I would subscribe to you if I could. All right, thanks so much for checking us out, and we'll look forward to seeing you. Actually, I hope you look forward to seeing me next time. Take care.